Today I'm going to be reading a book to you called Molly by Golly, The Legend of Molly Williams, America's first female firefighter. Our Molly is as fine a cook as any in New York City. The lads of Fire Company Number 11 like to boast. In fact, she was wondrously fine. Molly hastily, puttily is tasty, the captain always said. No, sir, Isaac would declare. It's her chicken roly-poly that makes a man's mouth water. Hot apple pie is Molly's most delicious dish. Jonas was sure to insist. The argument would go around the fire company table until the very last bite of the venison stew or the codfish muddle had disappeared. But on one thing the men agreed. Molly by Golly put her hands and heart to every task, in or out the kitchen. One wintry day, she proved just how wondrously fine she could be. Inside the cozy kitchen of Mr. Almer's house, Molly Williams briskly whisked cornbread, eggs, and buttermilk in an earthenware bowl. Outside, snowflakes swirled thick as cream. Snowdrifts stood tall as haystacks. Molly stirred glowing embers in the hearth oven and worried. As the Johnny cakes baked, a fierce wind knocked at the door and whistled through the chinks in the red brick walls. Molly worried even more. Snow covered the neighborhood that morning, and a terrible sickness had spread like a thick blanket over scores of households. Influenza. Many of the volunteer firemen were already sick. Even Mr. Eimer laid in bed with it. Molly scratched the upturned chin of Elzra, one of the many household cats that wandered around. If a blaze sparks in a blizzard such as this, what will our poor fire lads do? Molly recognized a sound growling loud above the whine of the snowstorm. Had her very word, fire would come true. Church bells, clang, clang, clang. They sang out a fire alarm. The number of times they chimed told Molly just where the trouble was. Something's afire, Elsa, and it's nearby, she exclaimed. Molly wrapped a heavy wooden shawl around her shoulders and dashed out to spread the news. And Elsa was the cat. Molly spied a small knot of neighborhood boys speeding towards her with lanterns held high. Runners, Molly by Golly, led them through the snow-filled alleyways and ice cobblestone streets. The runners rattled and clanged and rang muffin bells. Fire! Fire! They all called. Come out! Come out! Men burst from their homes with bootstraps flapping, coattails flying. Women and children tossed out leather water buckets. Molly and the runners scooped them as they raced to the fire company equipment shed. Volunteers busily loaded axes, pulled down hooks and coils of rope into the fire wagon. Molly took a quick count. She never seen so few men answer the call. The captain lifted the buckets from her aching arms. Molly, by golly, he said, you're always ready to lend a hand. These hands can do much more than bake Johnny cakes, she thought. She clapped a leather helmet on her head and strapped a splatter dash over the wooden leggings and then pulled the heavy work gloves. Wait for me, she cried. Molly, by golly, exclaimed the surprise of the captain. He waved over and over to the line of men struggling to drag the heavy pumper engine through the snow streets. Molly took her place on the ropes and gripped it hard. All heave ho, lads and ladies, the captain ordered. Get the pumper on its way. 1, 2, 3, pull, they chanted. Molly and the men rolled the pumper engine straight away into the streets. They dragged it through the snow, drifting snow. Wintry wind whipped at Molly's face and hands, but she never lost her grip. Soon Molly saw ribbons of soot whirling between snowflakes. She heard frightening voices floating through the frozen air. And then there it was, a small wooden house ablaze. "Step lively now," cried the captain through his tin-speaker trumpet. "Fire wagon and the pumper to the side yard. Volunteers and the buckets to the river." Close to the snowy bank, the captain chopped holes in thick ice. "Jonas, Isaac, drop the buckets into the frigid water flowing below." Molly and the others then formed a bucket brigade, passing water hand to hand, filling the tank fast. "Start pumping and be quick about it," the captain shouted. Molly jumped to join the men and the pumper at the engine sides. They cranked the heavy, long pump handles until water gushed into a steady stream from the fire hose. Hour after hour, Molly sprayed burning timber. Angry flames hissed and spit each time water hit them. Molly pulled down chunks of burning roof with hooks of iron. Flames, shingles melting to the snow the moment they hit the ground. Choking smoke crept into Molly's nose. Cinders clung to the wooden shell. A wall of heat warmed her cheeks. "My fire lads won't let the fire win, and neither will I," she thought. The fire raged and roared with a fury of a wild bobcat until at last it was out. The Van Horn family shivered in their snowy yard. A haze of smoke surrounded them. They were thankful to be alive, glad the fire had not spread throughout the neighborhood. Bone-tired, Molly took her place on the drag rope to pull the pumper back to the shed. Jonas, Isaac, and the other volunteers rushed to her side, broad smiles on their soot-covered faces. "Hooray for our new fire company," they cheered. "Molly, by golly, you're as fine as a fire lad as any," added the captain. "In fact, you are wondrously fine." The end. This story is about the legend of Molly Williams, America's first female firefighter. Thank you.